Hi, everyone. This is Michele Graglia.
This is Marianne Hogan.
Hi, I'm Adrian McDonald.
I'm Katie Asmith.
Hi, this is Anthony Gasals.
Hi, my name is Meg Morgan.
Hey, it's Jordan Trove.
This is John Ray.
This is Ryan Van Duzer, and you are listening to the Gotta Run Racing Podcast.
Hello, hello.
Hey, everyone. We're back with another Gotta Run Podcast.
How's it going?
How you doing this fine afternoon? We are now in the month of December.
Yeah, hard to believe. Where'd those months go?
I don't know.
Crazy talk.
I don't know. I just finished a run outside and ooh.
And it was 8 degrees and it felt like minus a million. What are we in for?
Well, anything below 15 is dead on winter to me.
That's true. You've always said that.
Yep. Nevertheless, what is happening in the world of Gotta Run Racing?
All of our races are live on Race Roster.
Wow, live and uncensored?
You got it. So that would be Rainbow Trail Run, June 14, Island Lake Classic, Labor Day Monday, and we have brought back, by popular demand, We Run the North, our virtual national park series, and we are getting to the bottom of the barrel with our medals. So if you want to take advantage of this, our pricing is better than ever.
All right.
You can collect all 13. You could do 1. You could do 7. You choose, but don't delay because inventory is limited. Let me put it that way.
Yes. Our goal for their next year is to sell all.
Sell out. That's it.
That's it.
Never to be seen again.
Oh, boy. Never say never. Who's on the podcast today?
Today we have Adam Lee, a fellow podcaster from the Community Trail Running Podcast. Adam is 39. He's originally from Aurelia, which is just a stone's throw from where we are. He's now living in Crowsnest Pass, Alberta, which we're familiar with.
Yeah, we got familiar with it.
Sure did. It's definitely a running hub. He is an avid runner who's completed the Squamish 50-50. And next year, he's setting his sights on Moab Run the Rocks, another one that we're familiar with. And of course, he is the host of Community Trail Running Podcast, chatting about all things running.
Well, there you go, our fellow podcaster.
And we're doing a collaboration with him today. So we're going to be on his podcast, and then we're interviewing him for ours.
Okay, well, let's get to it. Without further ado, here's Adam Lee coming up.
Welcome to the podcast, Adam. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for agreeing to do a collaboration as fellow podcasters.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. Thank you for inviting me and coming on Community Trail Running as well. It's such a fun little small community, as we've talked about already. So it's cool to kind of get into each other's world and get to know each other some more.
Absolutely. And for the listeners, just so they know, we're not going to repeat any conversations. So they need to listen to both of our episodes, right?
It's just good, well-rounded marketing right there.
Absolutely. So tell us where we're speaking to you today. Where are you located?
I'm in Crowsnest Pass, Alberta. Of course, I'm in my closet in my house, which we joked about earlier as well. But yeah, we just bought a house here, my wife and I, after being on the coast since 2009. And we're giving the Rockies and Alberta a chance here now. And so far, so good. So it's cool to have a home and a space, even if it is a closet where I can actually set up a little booth. So that's where I'm calling home these days.
Amazing.
Usually, Canadians like to stay put because you're originally from Aurelia, Ontario.
Yes.
So what brought you out west besides the mountains and the better weather?
I mean, I guess we're done, right? That's the end of that discussion. I was always drawn to the mountains and the ocean for sure. Just growing up in Ontario, it just seemed almost mythical, you know, and then so my uncle lived in Victoria. I got to visit him when I was 17 or 18, somewhere around there, like first year of college kind of thing. And to actually see it in real life was like, this is amazing. We want to live here. And one day after work, we'd been in Toronto for about 3 years, Sheena and I, and we had talked about going out west and that sort of thing here and there. And we're going to do this. And she started looking for apartments. And I'm like, oh, we're doing this. Yeah. I'm like, okay. So that was sort of that decision made. And we made our way out there. Again, it was 2009. And then, yeah, absolutely fell in love with it. Didn't think we'd ever leave, to be honest with you. And then we visited the pass and the beauty of the Rockies, and then that combined with the cost of living here was enough of a draw to roll the dice and give it a go.
Good decision. Good decision.
Yeah. In fact, I think we should start packing now. God.
Get in while you can. It's the place to be, you know?
Well, believe me, it has crossed our minds for sure. All right. Well, let's go back to the beginning of your running career. How and when did that start for you?
So I was thinking about this today because, you know, I started running when we moved to the West Coast, where I was actually like training for a half marathon and that sort of thing. But totally did the thing growing up where ran like cross country in school and that kind of thing, because they just made everyone, you know what I mean? But I remember going to the meets and thinking it was so fun. The OPP had just opened their headquarters in Aurelia around the time that I was growing up, kind of thing. And part of that was the huge property that they had with all those trails. So that's where I got to run trails probably for the first time, now that I think about it.
Cool.
And that was the fun day. Yeah, totally. Like I didn't really like running, like this is dumb, whatever, we're running. But that one day where we got to go to the headquarters and run through the trails was like, this is fun. I like this, you know. Didn't run for fun at all like that. And just played a lot of sports, mountain biked, Hardwood Hills and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Wednesday night races were a lot of fun growing up. And so I had loved the race environment and that kind of thing. Fast forward to us moving out west, wanting to get into shape and feel active because you've fallen out of team sports and that sort of thing. And when we moved to Vancouver in 2012, CTV was where I was working, and we were a sponsor for the BMO marathon.
Oh, nice.
And half marathon. So yes, I could enter the half marathon for free. And that's my favorite price. And I thought maybe I could meet some people from work that were going to run as well. And I don't think I really met many people training, but I got totally into the training and chasing times and did that for a couple of years. And when a trail race came up, and I got to create my little memory den in the garage recently. So I put all my bibs on the wall, and I had some of them written on the back, like what they were. And it was my first trail race was a mech race.
Nice.
In 2014. Yeah, super fun, like I think it was a 10K. And I was just immediately, as soon as I got on the trail, I was like, why have I been running on the road? I used to love the trails so much. And of course, I'll run on the road anytime. If you want to go out for a run, like, let's do it. But I'd prefer to get on the trails. And now that I have much easier access, that's definitely when I do more. But yeah, that's sort of how I got into the racing, was chasing half marathons. And then as soon as I was into trails, this is fun. And then you hear the stories of someone that's running like a 30K trail race, and you're like, oh my God, like, what are you talking about? Then you hear about a 50 and then 100 mile, and, you know, and you don't think that oh no, that's for other people. Like, they're all crazy. And then suddenly you're telling stories about the distance that you did, and people are like, you're crazy. And you're like, no, there's crazier people. And there's all plans. And yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm like completely hooked on having to keep going further, but there's definitely a draw to, I wonder what that would be like.
Absolutely. Well, you know, this is an ultra running podcast. So what was your first ultra?
That was the Squamish 50 in, I want to say 2019.
Yes, 2019.
Yeah.
Yes, according to your stats.
I love that. You're like, can you confirm that this is your page? I'm like, oh my God, I haven't looked at it. Like, yeah, those are all mine. That's right. We forget the dates, you know, suddenly the years have gone a little bit further than you think. But we did Squamish 50. There was 6 of us that spent the weekend together in an Airbnb, and then a couple of partners as well. But 6 of us were running, which was super cool. And I think 5 of us were doing our first ultra.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just a great experience. We all finished, and our friend Janine beat the cutoff by, minutes kind of thing. So we all had the enjoyment, the awesomeness of making it, and then like the chewing our nails, and then she came through. Yeah, that was a really fun experience to nail the distance for the first time, but then also to be there with a bunch of friends and watch them all do it too. So
what a pretty epic race, a Gary Robbins race to choose as your first ultra. I'm sure the experience kept you in it.
Yes, absolutely. Certainly spoiled to have gotten into trail running on the coast where, Gary and Five Peaks and just the spoil of riches is something to be a part of. You take it for granted almost.
Absolutely.
Tell us about the Finlayson Arm.
50K?
50K?
Yeah.
Because we don't know much about that race. Tell us about that one.
It is low-key my favorite ultra. It's just an incredible vibe that they have. I say it's like a family reunion where you're all running. That's kind of how I've described it over the years. And it's changing because it's getting more popular too, which is awesome, of course. But even that first year in 2019, your crew can very easily get to all the aid stations. So not only was it that, and like, yeah, just super simple. So you'd see all the people that you were running that same pace with as well, right? So, at each aid station, it wasn't just your crew, it was the other crews that were excited to see you. And the food was really good. They take care of you well. The Finlayson Arm itself is just breathtaking. You never go above 500 meters, I want to say, and maybe you don't even quite get to 5. So yeah, when you look at the elevation chart, this isn't that bad of a race. And somehow it adds up to 3,300 meters at the end. But you're like, it won't be like that. It doesn't seem like that bad. But you're just doing this the whole day. But every time you get up, you get this beautiful peek out over the ocean. And you're in the arbutus trees. And yeah, it's magical. It kicks your ass. Like, it's so fun because it's so hard. And the vibe, again, they create is it's top notch. The party at the end, one of my favorite things is friends, family, runners. Everyone is welcome at the barbecue and to have beer and all that. So it's just, there's no meal ticket or nothing like that because they have amazing sponsors who just want to make it a festival kind of thing. So you just,
awesome.
Your friends, your friends and family are waiting at the finish and they get to have a snack while you come across. And yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, sold. Oh, there you go. See?
Another one on the list.
Thanks. Another one on the list.
Yeah, Mike LaBelle and the Coastline crew, they're just great humans too. So you're supporting wonderful people with that race as well. You will appreciate it being on the list, I promise.
Have you ever thought about doing 100-miler?
Yes, I would definitely love to check that off the bucket list. So speaking of Gary and everything, last year he was going to try and get that 100-miler going. Oh, well, It was a legend 100-miler. We didn't know what it was going to be, but that was the rumor, of course. And had everything fallen into place, I was actually going to kick the can at that and give that a go. Of course, it didn't happen. And then coincidentally, because we did the Trail Running Film Festival in Vancouver the first year, a ton of fun. And then last year we did 4 more shows in Alberta, and that kind of consumed all the time. And it was a lot of fun and super great to get into these new communities. But suddenly our time was just from 1 show in our own spot to 5 shows in a different province was just a challenge. So when the race didn't come through, I didn't necessarily look for another 100-mile and thought, okay, this is going to be the year. And I was thinking that 2025 next year, I was like, this would be the year that I do it. And then we bought a house in Crowsnest because we fell in love with that. And so now I don't know, I think everything may have been shifted 1 more year. And this is the super long answer to yes, I want to give a kick at the can at the 100-miler. But it has to be perfect circumstances to get into it. I don't want to half-ass my way into that because there'll be no finishing.
Of course not. Yeah.
Well, now that Sinister 7 is just down your road, right?
I know. And the even worse part, the big joke now is, 200-milers are the new 100-milers, right? And the friggin' divide is at the end of my street.
All the temptations.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Tough place in the world to live, I tell you.
And you are gearing up for Moab Run the Rocks this coming March, which is a race that I took on in its first edition, actually. So what made you decide to try a stage race?
I've never done a stage race, so that's definitely part of the draw because Squamish 50-50, you get up, of course, 2 days in a row, but I guess it's not a stage race, so you don't think of it as a stage race, right? Whereas this is, 3 days, 3 stages. Okay, here we go.
Right.
So I like that idea. Moab just looks incredible.
You'll love it.
Everyone who's done the race has just wonderful things to say, not only about the landscape and of course where you're running through, but the job that Huda and the race group does there too. So it just seems like a great experience to get in and try.
Absolutely.
Well, for a race that sells out in 6 minutes, there's got to be something with that.
Right? Yeah, they're on to something, obviously. So pretty cool to finish up, have those next couple days. You can have the fun with everyone, but you're still gearing up for next day and then thinking about the next day and have that kind of different competitive challenge because I've not thought about that before.
Yeah, and the stages are manageable. It's not like you're out there doing 80K a day. Like if you think of a Cocodona or something where you have to minimum do 80K a day. And when you're done that day, you're done that day. There's an actual finish line each and every day, as opposed to I just got to get as far as I can get and then keep doing it. So I think for people that want to try a stage race or want to get into a 200 miler even, this is a good transition for sure.
Mm. Also, there's Fireball on the third day.
There is that.
That's a good reason to make it to the third day. The last time I had Fireball, or no, it was Jaeger. Sorry. They did that at the Beast of Big Creek down in Washington there, which was pretty fun. You get to the very top and they're like, here's a shot before you go back down the mountain. All right. Well,
Yeah. We had that in Slovenia.
Now, you've only been in Crowsnest a few months, but I'm sure that you've already felt and connected with the trail running community there. Can you describe it a little bit for our listeners? Because, of course, we got to experience a taste of it, but you're living it now. And, of course, who you've connected with on the main street of Crowsnest. Please mention them as well.
yeah, I'm very grateful to one of your former guests as well. There's Susan Lowild and her husband Ian, of course, own Spry and Rock Gear Distribution, and their son Jamie is my boss, funny enough, because that's where I'm working now too. So they've taken me under their wings, and it's pretty cool to be included in any little part of what their family's done, because you get to explore these trails. I've only been here a couple months, but Ian, it's like, oh, I made this one and I made that one. And, remember this from these many years ago. And this used to be this. And so it's pretty special to get out into the wilderness, even a little bit with them. We have a mandated hour on Thursdays where we have to leave the office and go outside. So
nice.
What a nice work environment.
Oh,
right. And some pretty good people to be surrounded by to take you out for an hour. So
that's incredible. Are you going to be doing Meet the Minotaur next year? Have you guys checked out our merch via our website, GottaRun Racing? We have some really cool swag, including the mugs that, if you've watched our YouTube video, that we drink with. Cool red mug with a cork bottom. It keeps liquids nice and cold or warm. What else do we have on there, Norm?
Well, we have our shirts that I'm wearing.
That's right. You can either choose from GottaRunPodcast or GottaRun Racing. You can also find our 20-liter dry bags, which are a steal at $25. Perfect for using it drop-off bag at an aid station. We've got flasks. We also have cooling multifunctional neckwear, which is a fancy word for a cooling buff. Has the GottaRun Racing and podcast logos on it. Not to mention, we have the affiliate links for the 3 companies, for the 3 brands that we are affiliated with, that being Air Relax, Compression Therapy, Caffeine Bullet, and Kinesis Sunscreen. So by following those links, you can access exclusive discounts. So do check that out, GottaRunRacing.com.
I might see if I can do the mini, because that seems like it'd be right up my alley. It sounds like it'd be absolutely horrible and just like so much fun. Total smash fest, But I believe, because we're so busy at work with it all, that I have to find out if I'll be able to, because it might be an all hands on deck kind of thing there, because Minotaur and Sinister are great weeks for work there. So whatever we need to do to get that ship finally oiled through the night,
Right.
however you want to say that. Yeah, but I would love to participate, because I had Andrew and
Aaron.
Thank you. I'm chatting about the Minotaur many episodes ago now, but it sounded like it's evolved to where it is, which is really cool to see, on an international scale, but even where it started, the backstory to it, and how the course changed each year, and how there were like wild cards out there where you could go one way or the other, and just it's a really neat event, and it would be cool to actually take part.
Well, I bet you Jamie might recruit you to help him do the course flag checking at 3 a.m. in the morning. Because I know Andrew spends hours, days, whatever the case may be, flagging. And then it was Jamie's role to check the course in the middle of the night. So that might be where you're going to be.
Amazing. I can think of worse things to do.
For sure.
My first experience running through the night was actually just this past summer here at Sinister because I ran the relay. So I ended up taking on the leg that went overnight. I can't remember. It was there's 7, so leg 6. And that was my first time running through the night and being in Crowsnest Pass. So now, if I need to go out at 3 with Jamie, that sounds pretty cool. The mountains aren't as scary as I once thought they were. Now that I've done it once.
Okay, let's chat podcasting. What motivated you to start a podcast, and how long were you thinking about it before you started?
So the long story short-ish, too late, right, is I went back to school to Athabasca, which is an online university. It is based out of Alberta here, funny enough, but we were in BC when I was doing that because I wanted to re-educate because television had sucked the soul out of my life. Through 5 years, I got my Bachelor of Management. And when I finished that, I wanted to do a long race because I had time now that I was no longer studying. I was like, I can devote something properly to training. And 2021 was, of course, the middle of the pandemic. So I did the Squamish 50-50. Gary put me into the 50-50 because he was my coach. Him and Eric Carter, I got to work with them, which was fantastic. But I made it through the race like a different runner coming out the end of the 50-50, which was in October that year because of the pandemic. So October rolled around and I had finished, 5 years of schooling, 9 months of training, and it was all gone. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do with my time? And I've always enjoyed writing. And because I worked in media, the podcast thing was something that I had considered in the past because I was a video editor. So I would be in the suites working with reporters and going over questions and that kind of thing. So I hadn't done it, but I had a pretty good idea of being involved in the process. And I thought with my attention span, like a short podcast would be kind of perfect and more. I knew always that it wouldn't be about me. Like I didn't want to just be like a blabbering, blah, blah, blah. I went up for a run and it was really hard. And I went into the pain cave and then I made it out. And now I'm going to tell you about it for the next 45 minutes. So it was always going to be about the guests and having them on and spotlighting them. So that's kind of, it all came together. And it was actually called Ultra Postie in the beginning because I ran ultras and I was a postie, a letter carrier. And I was like, that's not quite definitive and just confusing for a lot of people. And Sheena was my wife, you should call community trail. It's about community. I was like, you're a genius.
Here we go.
Yeah. So that's the long-winded answer to how the podcast and the Substack were born.
Very cool.
Most podcasts die after 10 episodes. So you must have been ecstatic to get to 100. How did that feel like?
I'm sure you guys have similar feelings too, because it's not something that you set out to, I'm going to hit the 100 or whatever. I think it's a lot like an ultra, it's you're going to go out there and you can put one foot in front of the other. And as long as the day keeps you on the trail, then you'll just keep moving forward. And maybe there'll be things that make it easier or harder, but generally it's kind of fun to reach out to people around the world and chat about our silly sport and what it looks like, where they are and how they're involved in it. And so it's been pretty easy to kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other. And
right.
I'm sure you experience the same thing as we talked about, like people do in fact listen and they reach out and say either they did actually listen or, hey, you should have so-and-so on because that would be cool to hear from them, or just people want to participate and be involved. And it's just cool to kind of get to that point, and it gets a little bit easier because you do have more people that are like, have this person.
Right.
I guess they're just falling into my lap. Let's do this.
That's true. What piece of advice would you give someone who's about to start a podcast? What advice would you give them?
What's fun about this is I just had someone reach out from Saskatchewan, and because they want to feature some Saskatchewanians.
Maybe.
And they asked the same similar thing, like if you had any advice. And the first thing I said was like, I'm not going to just blather everything because you have to learn a lot on your own. But I think just to start is be ready to be consistent and get a good microphone.
Yes. Great advice.
That's very good.
And from there, you'll learn your style. I think we all kind of have the shows that we like and that sort of thing, but you'll never be that host. So be yourself, you know.
Yes.
Other than that, it's just it's fun, and explore it and
talk about what you love.
take the shots, reach out to anyone you
Yeah,
want.
exactly. So what are you listening to that's not running related? What's up there for you must listen every week?
I'm complete Blue Jays nerd.
Oh.
I used to be into all the sports, and then my first job in live TV was actually at the Score Sports Network. I don't know if you recall that from back in the day or not.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a guy named Andrew Stoughton who's done different podcasts over the years about the Blue Jays, and anything he does, I'll support and I enjoy, and it's totally my like, oh, there's my hour of non-running stuff to consume, and
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now you also host a trail running film festival. Can you tell us a little bit about that, how you got involved and what it's evolved to?
And that's a lot of fun working with a guy named Matthias Eichler down in Washington. And he has a trail running podcast as well called Single Track. And he has the electric cable car newsletter that he puts out as well. So we I don't even know how crossed paths online initially, but just you had mentioned you meet these people who you've only chatted with online after a while, and you feel like you've known them for years. And that's the sort of the relationship I've had with Matthias. So everything's been super fun, and he became the executive producer of the Trail Running Film Festival. When that happened, I just reached out. I was, congratulations, that's so cool. Let me know how I could get involved with anything in Vancouver. And he said, well, why don't you host the show? And I thought, well, I guess why not? I do my podcast in my closet. How different can it be hosting 400 people in front of them on the stage? Same thing. All right, let's do this. I have a great friend, Janine Avellino in Vancouver, who I call her the mayor, because anytime we're out on the trails, you can't run 10 minutes without running into someone else that you stop to talk to. And it's just so funny. So she was gung-ho to help out. And my wife is obviously, chase it, do it. So she was into it however she could help. And we hosted the first year and had a great time and had a guest and tried to make with giveaways and games and tried to make it as fun as possible. And then year 2, because we had some momentum, my wife is also a burlesque performer. So she put together an ode to a new trail runner with 3 other performers. And they did this as a cold opening to the show. So we surprised people with a burlesque opener last year, which was kind of wild. And it was so good. We overheard people. Someone told us, our volunteers, I was sitting behind someone and they said, I don't know what I'm watching right now, but I know I like it. So I think we managed to hit the notes right there. And then, we had an opportunity to come into Alberta. We have some great friends here who have a place in Calgary and Canmore, and Sabrina and Jason in there. If you guys want to host shows, you're welcome to crash with us and do whatever you need. And our sponsors were on board for trying it out. So we went from 1 show to 5 shows. And then that's how, like I said, I fell in love with this area. And this year we're going to do the 5 shows as well. And we're in talks with the town of Jasper to do a fundraiser show there to help whatever we can and kind of bring people back. So they seem to be really excited about that idea, and we're kind of ironing out the details, but it looks like we'll be in Jasper as well this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Good. Nice.
Very cool.
Super exciting. Yeah.
Originally, you're from Ontario. Ever thought about coming back to Ontario to do an ultra? Because Sulphur Springs now is a Western States qualifier.
I would love to run all over the country. To be honest with you, it's mostly the time and the effort now. So I'm sort of the similar to you is when you look, because I still have family back there too. I still go there. So I would love to put a race on the calendar and actually do that and deal with I guess I'll have to run with soaking wet towels on me around here for 3 months before to be ready for the humidity, but I think I could figure it out.
Yes.
Humidity or rainstorms or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Sometimes if it rains, you end up drier. Oh my God.
Crazy.
What race is on your bucket list now?
I would love to do the Swiss Alps 100. That would be an insane challenge, and to go check that out and run anywhere over there would be wild, but to do some crazy 100-mile thing that I've never done in the Alps would be quite the scary but super exciting project to work towards.
And you get to run on a glacier. Who does?
Yeah, that looks amazing.
Who can say did that? So
Right? And with scary ass suspension bridges like that.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been awesome, Adam. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you both for having me. I was really appreciated to be here and for you guys to come on my show as well and share a little bit about yourselves. This was so cool.
Very fun. Well, we're not going to let you go too soon because we have to do our rapid fire. So you ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
All right. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, I guess Star Wars, just because I know, like, I can say I've watched the Star Wars.
Fair enough. What's your go-to food at a well-stocked aid station?
Okay, so Finlayson Arm, shout out. They always, at all of them, they have pierogies with cheese, and that's like the best.
Sign me up.
Oh, yeah, so good.
Nice. Butter tarts with or without raisins?
Okay, so my wife does not like raisins in stuff like that. She will happily eat like a box of raisins, which is hilarious, but like in... Okay.
That's exactly norm.
Okay.
Exactly norm. It makes no sense.
Nope, it doesn't. So if I'm going to answer this question completely selfishly, I'll say the package is full of the ones with raisins because then I get to eat them all.
There you go. I like it. Would you rather run in minus 20 degrees outside or a treadmill for your long run?
I'm going to figure that out this year, I guess, because I got to be honest with you, minus 20 outside sounds way better than a treadmill, but I haven't had to run in minus 20 outside maybe ever. So.
There you go. Oh, man. What's a TV show that you're embarrassed to say you watch?
I don't watch a ton of TV, so what is really embarrassing? Oh my God. You know what? It's probably more how old everything I watch is that's more embarrassing than the content itself. And the worst part is, this is how bad this is. The last thing I can think of was, you remember the show 24?
Yes.
Yep.
With Jack Bauer? Yeah, exactly. What? That old? Yeah. 5 years ago, I got into that and everyone's like, what is wrong with you? I was like, the show's so good.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's when he does everything in 24 hours, right? But actually, it took 24 months.
Yeah.
Legit. All right, Norm, final question.
Pick a superpower that you'd like to have.
Ooh. If you didn't have to sleep, that would be, you could really accomplish a lot.
Yep.
That's true.
That's a popular one.
I would say never having to sleep.
Yep. Think about the things you can do.
Oh my gosh. Right?
All right, Adam. Thank you so much again. We really enjoyed chatting with you, and hopefully we'll see you out in Crowsnest Pass sometime.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Next time you guys are here, because I know you're going to be here, you have to come back. So we'll get out and we'll meet, and I'll get you a cheap beer at the cheap pub, and you'll be buying houses just the same way we did.
Careful what we wish for, eh, Norm?
Yeah, you got some good pubs out there. Yeah,
you do indeed.
Yeah.
Quick tangent before we let you go, because that's how I say goodbye. The Crowsnest Pass was our 4th show in 4 nights, so we went to the pub afterwards. We ordered 3 drinks. Only 2 of them had booze, but one of them was from the local brewery, $12.75. And I said, really? And we went and started looking at houses the next day.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Wow.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Say hi to Susan and Ian for us.
Okay, I will make sure to do that.
And Andrew.
And Andrew, yes.
All right. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Or good afternoon.
And that was Adam Lee, host of the Community Trail Running Podcast.
Now situated in Crowsnest Pass, Alberta.
It's always fun to collaborate with fellow podcasters.
Absolutely it is. And I'm envious of his current situation, living out there in the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by beauty and an awesome trail community.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get there again. We'll get there again.
We will.
And he's at 120th episode, I think, around there. So he's doing very well in a short amount of time. He's just started a couple of years ago, I think.
Right.
And good on him.
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
Like I said, most podcasters die after 10 episodes.
So be sure to check out his episode featuring us.
Yes,
After you listen to this episode featuring Adam.
because it's kind of like a two-parter.
Kind of.
Yep.
And we don't talk about the same things, so...
Yeah. Listen to him first and then us.
Or us first and then him? I don't know, you decide.
Either or, rate and review both of us.
And if you're just listening to us for the first time because you listened to us on his, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for... And that's why we collab.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
Until next time.
Cheers.
Bye.